Are we live now?
Hello, computer.
Hello. What's going on? I'm not at the age where I don't know how the internet works, am I? Professionals. It's going to be immediately hit by like a copyright takedown notice.
Damn it.
Oh, is that live? We're live.
Are we live?
Let's go with a resounding maybe at this point. Fascinating viewing. It's good enough for me.
Excellent.
Hello and welcome to this segment which we've decided to call Hunting Squawks. Witty wordplay on the Huntinghawks channel, where I have basically badgered these guys into letting me rant about how amazing Eberron is for at least an hour. Come on, at least. So yeah, I got this bad boy in the post a couple of days ago and I've been voraciously devouring it ever since, as has my companion Leigh here.
Yes, I have read all of the first 30 pages. So
yes, I have been...
Well, I've skimmed it a bit.
Yeah, so I've been immersing myself in the world of Eberron since pretty much like a couple of months after it first came out.
Yeah.
And you vaguely know some things about it.
Yeah,
So,
I can remember... now, was this the one that we did in school, or was this the one we did like a few years ago? I know a few years ago we did Eberron.
I honestly
Like
can't remember what campaign we did.
Yeah, but it was at the time I didn't realise it was Eberron.
Yeah, I was
Because
kind of
you
trying
were-
to
you were-
introduce
you
it
were
by the
Eberron,
back
and
door.
And I was just like, this is great. I just like it.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically as a campaign setting, the reason I like it so much is it doesn't kind of have all the baggage that you get with things like Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like all the million books and like all the previous editions worth of fluff that you kind of like, is this still relevant?
Yeah.
Is this, do I need to know this? Do I not need to know it? Like, Eberron is set at a certain point in time. It will always be the year 998 YK. That is when everything is kicking off. That's when your campaign starts, unless you choose to start it in a different time.
Yeah.
But it's set in stone, and it's there for you to do whatever you want with. You don't have to worry about what Drizzt has done in his last book, or if Elminster's fucked up one of the planes or anything like that.
Yeah.
And just for me, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want from a published campaign setting. And yeah, also the fact that so much of it makes sense. Like, you get injured, you go to a hospital, you don't go to church. That just to me seems like the sensible thing to do. It's like it's kind of set up for the role-playing game rather than a story that they've made the rules around.
That's what I like from what I've read and what I've experienced through podcasts and things like that. It's just how it's so completely different from your normal, swords and sorcery role-playing games, whether it's Forgotten Realms or anything like that. It's just, you've got magic in the place of science.
Yes.
As well, with the lightning rails and things like that, and just so much. And dinosaurs. That's always a plus.
Exactly. The whole, the Tell Into Planes area over there. If we can get the map cam on. Can we get the map cam on? Come on, technical team, don't fail us now. This beautiful map that came with it, I was very happy with. Yeah, Tell Into Planes. Basically, here be dinosaurs. And maybe if you're in Kabara, if you're feeling generous.
Yeah.
But it's as far as a map goes, it's got just a little bit of everything. In terms of wherever you go on the map, you can kind of find a different kind of adventure. You go to one of the main metropolitan areas. You've got kind of intrigue and whatever. You go over to Demon Waste. It's Mad Max with demons.
That's awesome.
You go over to the Lazar Principalities, pirates, as far as the eye can see. It's just like whatever kind of campaign you want to run with it, you can find somewhere in this world to play it.
I've been reading up on the Mournland as well, which is this area here.
The Mournland is one of the big features of the campaign.
That is just fantastic. And just the idea of it's a country that was like a nation that was in the last war, and it being wiped out in a day was pretty much the reason that the war ended, and the reason that it's not kicking back off again.
Yeah, exactly, and the fact that it is a mystery to the players and the people in the world, it's kind of like, well, this country blew up. Who did it? No one's claimed responsibility. Should we keep fighting? Like, did someone do this, or this is kind of a thing that just happens?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit of a Cold War thing going on with the nations, and I like that's something they've really emphasised in the new book is the kind of the fallout from the war, how there's still kind of these tensions and the relations between countries are still a bit frayed. But yeah, I've heard the Moorland it's described as a country-sized dungeon.
Yes,
because that is basically what it is. It's full of monsters. There's a whole country's worth of treasure basically still there. It's just weird shit going on down there.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying basically. I've run several groups into the Moorland and none of them have ever had a good time of it.
Well, just every different country as well has got its own culture, its own, the main races that we use in Eberron, all from a different place. For example, Zilago is where the gnomes are from.
Correct. 5 points.
I know. Good. And also, the Talenta Plains that we mentioned earlier, halflings mainly from there.
Yeah.
I'm reading. You've got the Maror Holds where the dwarves are.
Yeah.
Points.
Yeah.
Worth prizes.
Yeah, you're nailing all those.
But the main focus, and I think a lot of games, especially in podcasts that we've listened to, the main focus is in Breland.
Yeah, especially Sharn.
Especially Sharn. Now, Sharn is this country. Is this little tiny
zoom
bit
right in. It's just there on the hilt of the Dagger River.
You can't. It's a bit blurry on here. Let's just try and let it focus in. Is it going to go?
Zoom and enhance.
Anyway, it's right here.
Yeah.
Just here. It does say Sharn.
Well, you can just about see the hilt, which is the area of the Dagger River.
So this is is because it's in the shape of a dagger. Look at that. But yeah, Sharn, the city of towers, is just such an interesting. Yeah. It's whereas normally a city is like you've got say you had New York, you've got Manhattan, you've got Queens. It's like that, but vertical.
Yeah, and it's something. It's a small change, but they haven't like a lot of fancy cities are like, oh, this is just London, but everyone's on fire. Yeah. Just like making a change for the sake of making it different. But with Sharn, they've done it, and they've thought, what are the implications of having a mile-high city? Like, how do people get around? What happens if you fall off? Things like that. Like, what happens right down at the very bottom? And there's a lot of really good world building going on in Sharn. It's a very kind of popular place for adventures to kick off, and you can run an entire campaign basically. I ran a campaign called it City of Daggers, where everyone was playing kind of rogue or rogue adjacent classes. And it was all about basically criminal gangs going around in Sharn, but it's a whole campaign setting in of itself almost, that city. Yeah. Sharn City.
Well, it's big enough that it's got its own chapter in the book.
Had its own source book.
And the rest, I like that there's you've got Corvair, which is the continent that all this is on.
Yeah.
Has a chapter, and then Sharn, this little city right here, has a chapter. That's the emphasis that we put on this amazing city. Yeah. But it is entirely possible to have, this isn't like, if I flip this map over, it isn't like
the world map.
Say Faerun, where the whole world hasn't been filled in. This is, it is a completed map of the world. Yes,
it is. And it's kind of... most of the games I play tend to kind of start in an area and then just kind of progressively zoom out almost as it goes on. So you start off in Sharn, you've got some low level adventures, you're fighting bandits or whatever, and then it becomes kind of, then you're sort of going all around Breland, you go to country level, and then you're all around Corvair, and then you're tripping over to Zendrick to find some lost giant artifacts. You're over to Sarlona trying to overthrow a crazy psychic dictatorship, and you think somewhere this all got really out of hand.
Yeah.
But it's Yeah, and although the other continents don't kind of have the same focus as Corvair, like each one of them kind of offers its own kind of little spice for the world of Eberron. Zendrik's basically, unexplored mystery continent, like deep jungles, vast deserts, whatever.
Home of the giants and the original elves. Am I right in that?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say yes because otherwise I will talk about the lore of the elves for like an hour.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, basically elves on Eberron originated kind of via the giants in Zendrik, migrated mostly to Erenal.
Where they split.
They did.
Into the Erenis and the Thar...
Come on, you can do it. So
Tharndic.
Ternadal.
Ternadal. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm sure the pronunciations of these things are completely off. It's like the nation of Sire. Everyone seems to have Sire, Seer, Siri.
And I was like Kaya.
Kaya, exactly. Yeah. There's like I like Keith Baker, who basically the same came from his magnificent brain. Basically said that each region just says it a completely different way. It's a regional accent thing. However you say Sire is completely fine. And I like that. There's no like, no, you're doing it wrong. You have to do Eberron this way. It's like, go for it.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
So I want to just going back to the elves a bit. Zendrik is currently like where all the drow reside, rather than being sort of
mainly
deep down underdark people. You should know this from that podcast.
Yes, the Umbridgen,
yeah.
They're the ones that went underground. Mm-hmm. The ones who are still sort of around the like hunting giants and things in Zendrik, they are a different
Vulkar.
That's the one. And they worship a scorpion god.
They do.
I know, called Vulk or
something like that.
Something like that.
I can't remember all the names, but yeah, they're basically gone with the drow. They're like, maybe not spiders, maybe scorpions this time.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have driders, we have scorrows. They're drow with scorpion bodies instead of spiders.
That's
magnificent. It is somewhat,
But
But yeah, there's a place for everything in Eberron, but not exactly how you'd expect is kind of the tagline they use quite often. It's, if you've got a race in Volo's Guide or whatever, there'll be a place to put it into Eberron. It might not, the lore might not exactly be as it is in Eberron, because, just with the Player's Handbook races, they are very much not how you'd expect them in quite a lot of cases, or most cases in fact. And there's some people on the Eberron Discord, if I've still got it up, wanted me to really emphasise the kind of the cultural changes they've made, especially with as a kind of when Eberron first came out. There's this kind of image meme going around, picture of an orc fighting an elf. It says one of them's from an ancient druidic culture dedicated to preserving the world from nameless horrors. The other is a roving marauder looking for a fight. Now, in the other setting, you go, oh, well, the orc's looking for a fight, but Eberron just kind of flips that completely on its head. The orcs are kind of these ancient druidic custom, protecting Eberron from all these crazy extraplanar threats.
Yeah.
And as such, actually have a good orcish stat block in this book.
Yes, you do. Yeah. But what one of the things that I read in the book is actually one of the 7 things to know, which we'll go into in a second, is how just because a monster says it's evil in the monster manual doesn't mean that it's evil in Eberron.
Yeah, I noticed that was something in the game you're running. You kind of threw a bit of a curveball at us. I was expecting, it's Forgotten Realms, these orcs are going to be evil. Egg on our face.
Yeah, which I like, because it just means that these are just people. You don't walk down the street and go, that person's obviously evil.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, you do, but then you'd be a racist.
Exactly.
And which, it probably, in the advent of Last War, some people will point to Warforged and go, oh, that's not, he's a living weapon, he's going to kill my family.
Yeah. But that's the difference between the prejudice of a person and the person actually being an evil person.
Yes. Yeah, there's no evil god of the Warforged making them all evil.
Exactly. Well,
arguably there is with the Lord of Blades, but that's an entirely different issue.
You can find that in...
Yeah.
But, like I said, we'll get onto the thing. It gives you a little... in the book, it gives a little bit here. I don't know if it's going to wash out of it. But
please
welcome to Eberron.
Please subscribe and whatever to the channel so we can make money to actually get good cameras and audio equipment.
So it has the usual bit for reading these books where it's like using this book and it explains the chapters, blah blah blah. And then it has a 7 things to know. So what is Eberron? Is the main thing. So these 7 things, it just gives you the base knowledge that you need to know to get into this setting.
Yeah, it's first kind of the hook to really kind of drag you in.
Yeah. So first off, it has the last war has ended, sort of. So Joe, last war.
Yeah.
Tell me about
that was a mess.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, basically kicked off.
In 25 words.
It's a big deal. It was kind of going off and on for basically the past 100 years. Originally, Corvair was made up of just 5 nations, well, of this one kingdom, the kingdom of Galifar, that had sort of stood for 1,000 years. And then the last king of Galifar, I think his name was Jarrett, went a bit kind of insane and paranoid in his old age, and he died. And when his heirs came to do the usual, the eldest gets the throne, there was a bit of a dissent, broke into this huge civil war, and then 100 years later there are now sort of 12 odd different countries that have split off, some legally recognised, some not, and just this whole kind of tension of what's going to happen next, really. And that's where in the book, that's where you set off. You're 2 years out from the end of the last war. 4 years out from Sire being destroyed, and and everyone's just kind of a bit like, well, what's next? Do we work for peace? Do we prepare for war?
Yeah. And like I said before, a huge part in the fact that the war has ended and has remained in this sort of stasis is because of Sire or Gaia and what happened on the day of mourning. Yeah.
Exactly, and again, that's a big nobody knows. Not even in the book. There's no novels saying, oh, this happened at this time, and this demon overlord tried to rise up and blow up the country. It's entirely a mystery,
and that's one of the things that is a case of just like, you're the DM, you decide what it is.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
It gives you enough spaces to make Eberron your own setting. Without having to do all the busy work of drawing up a map and working out who lives in this city, who lives in that city. You can just get straight into making an awesome adventure.
Talking of people, the next point is the Dragonmarks dynasty. So these are the houses that have the fabled Dragonmarks passed down through the bloodline. Yeah, and there are 12.
There are currently 12 Dragonmarks. Yes, there are 13 Dragonmark houses because the Mark of Shadows had a bit of a split and a bit of a falling out.
That's right.
But this is kind of what drives the magical economy of Eberron. This is what allows House Cannith to make these kind of cheap and plentiful magic items, things like ever-burning torches and things like that. It's through the power of the Dragonmarks. It's what allows House Loranda to fly their airships. It's what allows House Kundarak to work the banking system. Is these magical hereditary marks that kind of give them either added insight into this particular industry or magical abilities to allow them to do this. And I really like the way that they have handled it in 5th edition. In the old editions, it was kind of you'd take a feat at first level or whenever your Dragonmark manifested, and then you take feats later on to increase its power. But now it's kind of a built-in part of the race almost.
But it is its own variant race.
Yeah, or sub-races depending on which flavour. Yeah.
But that does mean that if you want a certain Dragonmark, you need to be the race that's associated with it. Yeah,
exactly. It's not a
because
it
is a family thing.
Yeah, it's very much a kind of a law-based restriction. I think originally in 3.5 it was to kind of, because at the point where Eberron was released there were literally hundreds of races in all the assaulted source books, and this was like putting the focus back on the original races from the player's handbook, which is why there's no Dragonmark for Tieflings or Dragonborgs. They weren't really a thing in 3.5.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a bit of a metagame reason for why these particular races, but it's all kind of, it's sort of part of the rich tapestry in the story of Eberron.
Yeah.
Is you've got these common races that have this almost monopoly on these particular industries.
Yeah. So the next point is Lands of Intrigue. So it talks about how the war is over, nations of Corvair are trying to build a new age of peace and prosperity, which we've covered as well, which is about, you know, what do you do now in the war, now the war's over.
Yeah.
And like you said before, Cold War, sort of part of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think pretty much wherever you go, whatever you're doing, there will be kind of a little bit of a trace of intrigue. There wasn't really sort of any corner of Corvair that wasn't touched in some way by the last war. Possibly the Demon Waste, because no one goes there if they can avoid it at all. But yeah, everywhere you go, there would have been, you know, someone who knows someone who's lost someone in the war, or you know, someone who was involved in fighting in the war. And like I said, that's a focus that they really emphasise in this book, and I think that's something that is a good kind of hook for character backstories as well. When you're creating characters, it's you know, this war was 4 years ago. There was still active fighting. It's pretty much impossible to have avoided all consequences of that.
It's perfectly possible for you to have like one of the long-lived races that remembers the time before the war.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Elves and dwarves.
The elves and dwarves, they're kind of looking at this 100 years of war and thinking, well, you know, I was, you know, old before this happened.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, a really kind of interesting thing to kind of dig down into.
Yeah. Next point, we have a continent of adventure. So it goes to say how, like we've covered before as well, the continent of Corvair. If I can switch back to the map cam, please. Just how vastly different it is. As we say, we've got the jungles of Kabara, which is where they've decided to house the Dragonborn, pretty much as an isolationist.
Yeah, when 4th edition decided that Dragonborn are going to be a main race, they're like, well shit, we haven't actually got anywhere canon, so they're like, well, Kabara, they were always there, people just confuse them with the lizard folk because they're a bit racist maybe.
Yeah. And then you've got up here the mountainous area of Mrawhold, where the dwarves go. You've got the large desert area of the Talenta Plains, which we talked about earlier, dinosaurs and halflings. Karnath deals with a lot of undead, from what I can remember.
Yeah, Karnath, their main, their kind of theme.
Now I remember my character in the campaign, Grant Megasword.
Oh yes.
He hated Karnath because his family were killed by undead. Yes, I remember that. Grant Megasword.
Yes. I'd like to say we were very young at this point. Like, at least like 25.
I'd say I'd like to say it as well, but it's not true.
No.
Valanar is the home of the Turnerdale.
Yeah, kind
what's
of.
left of the sort of like split off.
Yeah,
the Turnerdale elves.
The deal with the Turnerdale elves is the whole deal with elves is they're very much like, especially Turnerdale, very much into sort of emulating their ancestors, and because the history of the elves is kind of a history of war. They're kind of thinking, well, you know, we want to fight, so they kind of moved into Valanar, and they were kind of, you know, provoking Karnath, provoking Sire, like, you know, come on, fight us. We want to, you know, exemplify the glory of our ancestors. And then Sire blew up, and they're like, oh, whoops, maybe we should just hold fire on that for a second. But now they're like, but wait, now there's a whole country full of monsters next to us that we can fight. This is even better.
Yeah. And yeah, we've spoken about the Mournland and how it is just a waste of madness. And what I like that they've done with it is because it is just a chaotic sort of, you know, magic scored land.
Yeah,
it could be literally anything in there.
Yes,
just literally anything. And it's the classic case of it's like, oh, what's in there? Just like, oh yeah, this monster. If it doesn't make sense, just magic. You know, just magic did it. Then we move on to Dargun, which is the land of the Goblinoids.
Yep.
Goblinoids were the sort of like primary race, or like group of races that ruled Corvair.
Yeah, way back in kind of ancient history, the Dakani Empire basically ruled over the entirety of the continent until crazy mad monsters from the plane of Zoriat came and just ruined their whole jam.
Delkir.
Yeah.
And then with what was left of the goblinoids, the humans pretty much came and
humans migrated
enslaved them
from Zion,
and then when Galifar, he was the one that was responsible for getting rid of the slavery, and now goblinoids are just one of the other races that live in Corvair.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're walking in any city in Eberron, you see a goblin, you don't think, oh no, the goblins have come to steal our children. You think, oh, it's a goblin.
Yeah. Next we've got Zilago, which is the land of gnomes.
Yes.
The gnomes tend to be forest gnomes in this.
I think that's how they decided the stats for the forest gnomes fit the gnomes of Zilago the best.
Yeah.
And I'm quite a big fan of the gnomes of Zilago. They've got their kind of they're very much like into the intrigue.
Yes.
The mark of scribing. They're all about secrets, and Zilago being sort of one of the safest countries in the whole of Corvair, because everyone is constantly watching everyone else.
Yeah.
They're reporting you to the organisation known as the Trust, which rules over Zilago, and it's kind of got a bit of a creepy sort of 1984 vibe to it. It's like, is this all right though? It's a bit creepy, but again, it's really interesting, and it's kind of, you never know. You're talking to a gnome. Are they an agent of the Trust? Are they just being overly friendly? Maybe they just want to know your secrets because they're gossipy.
Yeah. Next up, we have Thrain. So Thrain, I don't really know a lot about Thrain.
Thrain, the biggest thing about Thrain is, unlike most of the other countries, it's a theocracy. So the Church of the Silver Flame is actually kind of in charge of the country.
I do know this. Yeah,
yes.
That's quite a big bit in the podcast we listen to.
Very much so, yeah. Silver Flame being this religious organisation that's driven to basically defeat supernatural evil in whatever form, however it can. And obviously in Thrain they like it so much that they...
One thing I will say is what interests me the most about this is the big sort of like the main... I won't say the main enemy, but like...
There are a lot of main enemies.
Yeah, one of the largest threats, which is uncommon for other campaigns, is aberrations. And that sort of thing.
With the Delkir. They've kind of unified like all the mind flayers, the beholders, everything like that. They're all creations of these creatures from Zoriat, and it's kind of unified them into this one cohesive threat, rather than just being independent beholders sitting in a cave somewhere waiting for adventurers to stumble. These are kind of living artillery that were used sort of in the war against the goblins.
Next up is Onder.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know much about Onder either.
Onder is they are kind of the high magic people. Sort of they've got a very strong magical tradition. How it's been explained with the 5 human nations, if they were an adventuring party, Onder would be the wizard, Thrain would be the cleric, Karnath would be the fighter, Breland would be the rogue, Sire probably would have been the bard.
Yeah.
And as we all know, bards are prone to suddenly dying. So a bit of an in-joke for you there.
So next up is the Eldeen Reachers.
Yeah.
So obviously, as you can see here, huge forest land.
Yeah, here be druids.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of orcs. Am I right in that?
Yeah, quite a few orcs with the gatekeeper druids.
Yes.
Shadowmarches, I think, are the highest.
Shadowmarches are the highest ones. Orcs and half orcs.
Yeah. But one thing I do like about the Eldeen Reachers and the druids in general is they've kind of given the various druid circles like a cohesive identity in Eberron.
Yeah.
Like you can say, I'm a green singer druid, or I'm a gatekeeper druid, and it'll actually mean something.
Yeah.
Like they have different focuses almost.
Yeah.
And they've even got sort of the Ashbound and the Children of Winter druids, which you can use as an enemy faction. Basically, you've got the always get them mixed up. The Ashbound are very anti-magic, like arcane magic of any kind is like a big no-no, and the Children of Winter are very kind of like fatalist, all things must die, Corvair's coming to its winter period, so everything's gonna die off.
Yeah. Next we have the Demon Wastes, which we said earlier was Mad Max, but with magic.
It's very the clues in the name. There are demons, and it is a wasteland basically. This is kind of where way back in the history of Eberron, it used to be everywhere was demons until the dragons discovered what's known as the Draconic Prophecy, which allowed them to kind of strike back against the demons and seal them away, and what we have left in the demon reaches is kind of the remnants of these demons that haven't been sealed away, that are trying to
that's not to say that there's no other races there. It's very there are still cities and things living there.
Ish. Yeah, I think what are the cities? So the main one is Ashtakala. So that's like the last big bastion of these demons. Which in Eberron, again, another bit of a twist. The main kind of demon is the Rakshasa.
Yeah.
Rather than sort of bat-winged, pointy-horned people, it's these backwards hands cat people.
Yeah.
And what people think of when we talk about demons. And pretty much everyone left in the Demon Wastes are either sort of mad cannibal tribes, or there are tribes of orcs which worship the Silver Flame and are basically bound to keep these demons from leaving.
Yeah.
It's basically the only way to leave the Demon Wastes is through this kind of huge labyrinth construct. The rest of it is entirely kind of warded and cursed, so that you can't just fly out of it.
Yeah.
Once you're in there, it's very hard to leave.
Okay. And then next we have the Shadowmarches, which is over here. Okay, like we said before, Shadowmarches, a lot of orcs is the main focus of that area. That is, if I'm correct, the largest concentration of orcs.
Yeah, I think so. That's where House... I've completely forgotten the name.
Tarashk.
Yes.
Tarashk? Yeah.
Something like that. House Tarashk, however you want to say it. Wherever you're from in Corvair.
Tarashk.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where their headquarters there. There's a lot of... I think the main export of Shadowmarches is the Eberron Dragon Shards, which is kind of the magical fuel, basically, for Eberron's magical economy. So that's a big industry there. But apart from that, it's mostly marshes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of the Delkir, the aberrant creatures, are sealed under the Shadowmarches as well.
Yeah. So, brings us to Drome, or Droarm.
Yes, the kind of the Notter nation.
Yeah.
This is the Here Be Monsters on the map. So it's currently ruled over by the daughters of Sora Kel, which are a trio of hags, and they've united all the disparate sort of monstrous races. So the Gnolls, the Minotaurs, the Harpies, Medusa, everything like that. They're all kind of this is where they hang out, and they're kind of a self-proclaimed nation, because when the war ended, all the other nations got together, signed the Treaty of Thronehold, which Droarm wasn't invited to because monsters, of course.
Yeah. But they are working towards it. I'm sure.
Well, they're working towards something.
Well, and then finally, as we've spoken about before, Breland, which is. Let's face it, is the main nation. Yeah, especially for starting out a campaign.
Breland is, I'd say if you were to kind of if they were making a film about Eberron, it would probably be Breland would be the good guys kind of thing.
Yeah,
they're not necessarily, but they've got the feel of it almost.
Yeah. So. Next up,
but I was leafing through the book as they kind of go over each of these sections. If I can find it, they've got so with each area they've got an interesting thing about the. Got people watching us apparently.
Hello
to people who are watching
chat.
Us. Yeah, so with each region they've got an interesting thing about the region where it just gives you some bullet points that are that's interesting, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
And they've got they kind of run through sort of the interesting points, and also kind of now they've got a section like the aftermath of the last war, like how did the last war affect this particular region, which I really like as a focus.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Really kind of gives you some, as a DM, it's given me so many like interesting hooks to kind of
I can't wait.
drill down into. Yeah,
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so that was a long time talking on that one bullet point.
It was. Yes.
What are we up to now?
The next one is probably my favourite part of it. Hello, the Fallen 81.
Hello.
How are you doing? The next part is a world of magic. Now, as I said before, magic has pretty much replaced the necessity for science in Eberron, especially with House Canon.
Yeah, well, it hasn't so much as replaced it.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, it
science,
is
because
it says at one point in there that magic is their science.
Yeah, it's like when they were first kind of coming up with the Eberron setting, they looked at the rules and said, well, this wizard, all like level 3 wizards can cast 2nd level spells. They can share their spell books and they can all like understand their spells. So there must be kind of like a science behind this.
Yeah.
There is a logic to this. Why haven't they kind of worked out how to profit from this? Basically, why aren't people making this an industry? And then they just kind of ran with that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like going back to Forgotten Realms. It's not you don't have sort of peasants living in squalor next to a wizard tower who's got like every single magical luxury you can possibly imagine. It's spread. It's everywhere. But also it's not powerful magic.
It's things like the Everbright lanterns and stuff like that, which is essentially street lamps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Things like that. Which it makes sense. You've got this amazing resource and this is what the Dragonmark houses have done. They've brought this amazing resource to
the masses.
The masses, yeah. They brought it to the masses and just said, like, here, we're going to help make your lives a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But not for free.
No.
So, and it's certain things like with the houses that you've got, like Zilargo, what's the House Civis?
Yes.
Is like very much about like messengers.
Yeah, messages, communication. And they're able to send a message from one end of the continent to another instantly.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense. People have this spell. Why hasn't someone set up a telegraph system? And here it is.
Yeah, and they did it using like speaking stones and things like that. Which, why not? Has the human race taken a backseat in this world? No, very much not. No, they are very much the most.
They've got the most Dragonmarks. Yes. They used to rule this entire continent, but it's that. Like I said, there's a place for everything in Eberron.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of sort of again going back to when it was first made in 3.5. It got to the point where humans were not really a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
So they've propped up humans with everyone. They said, look, you can have these cool Dragonmarks. They give you all these awesome abilities. You're like one of the main races in this country. Everyone speaks your language and what have you. And it's humans. I don't think it's one of those things. Like I think human fighter is often cited as the most common class. And it's kind of a bit boring, but everyone's just added a little bit of extra spice to humans. Yeah. You're not just regular Joe who's got +1 to all your ability scores. Now you've got the mark of making. You're the captain of industry. You're inventing these wonderful things. Or you're one of the other Dragonmark houses. Your house Deneth. You've got the mark of I can never remember what the mark's called. Sentinel.
Yes.
No. Is it?
Yeah, Sentinel.
Something like that. Yes. And you basically. You're the bodyguard. You can protect anyone from anything.
Yeah, including Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Little known fact, actually, and that is Kevin Costner was actually in House Deneth. Yeah. That's canon.
Yeah.
So, the next point we come to are the new races. Okay, so as we've said before, Eberron has a place for all the races that you could think of.
Yeah.
It won't be the place that you think. If you want to play, say, a Loxodon.
Yeah.
There'd be a place for it. You can make it work. I mean, this is Dungeons and Dragons. You do what you want.
Exactly.
Right. But it also brings in 4 new races.
Yes.
Starting off, we have the Changelings.
Yes, Changelings are just for roleplay purposes are just such an extremely cool concept.
Yes.
They are, the masters of disguise. They can literally change themselves into any kind of humanoid form. Yes, including if one of them wants to be an incredibly racist orcish caricature named Orc Man. But they can.
They're essentially half doppelgangers.
Yes,
that's how I look at them.
The kind of the Eberron races. Each one is kind of a lesser version of one of the big iconic monstrous races. The Warforged are kind of like half golems.
Yeah.
The Shifters are kind of half were creatures. The Clashheart are half. I don't know, something sexy psychic ghost warriors. That iconic D&D race.
Yeah. So what I like about Changelings is reading up on it. It's not you can change into anything. Obviously, a humanoid of your size
can't change into like a chair or a brick or anything like that.
But it's not like you have to change into someone that you've seen.
No,
you just have to have seen that person's race.
Yes.
So say I'm a changeling and I've seen you.
Yeah,
you're a human.
Yeah,
I can make myself look like a different human.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as long as my imagination. It's like it's more a case of the way I look at it. It's more a case of just like I've never seen a human before in my life, so I don't really know the ins and outs.
What are the limitations? Where are the ears?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it would be a case of I can't make myself look like a human. It's just it would look like a really weird.
There would definitely be something off if you just tried to
just like ears the size of my head, and stuff like that.
Yeah, like really long pointy nose, and you're like that.
I've seen a goblin, and I think they're a bit the same. So.
They're just tall, pale, pink goblins.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, but then when you've seen it, it's like, oh, that's the sort of like proportions wise, and so that's what I like about them. Yeah,
there are so many potentials for shenanigans playing a changeling.
Yes, yeah. Next up is the Clashheart. Now, I don't really know a lot about Clashheart until I started reading this book.
Yeah.
And now that I've read it, I have to say I'm very interested.
Yeah, Clashheart, like, as I demonstrated earlier, they're really hard to kind of succinctly describe, like, what's going on with the Clashheart. But basically, it's a human who's like, lineage has merged with essentially a psychic nightmare ghost.
Yes.
And now they've got these psychic powers, kind of.
Well, the one thing I do like about it is, mechanic-wise, is the telepathic ability. So it is you're telepathic as long as you can see a person to 10 feet times your level.
Yeah. So it just gets better and better.
That is insane.
Very
so I could just like look at you and just go, sup. Like that.
I go, oh, get out of my head, Charles. Yeah. I don't think we've got another question in chat.
Where is Eberron in relation to Faerun?
Ooh, this is kind of a big question which a lot of people will get very angry about because Eberron it's completely its own thing, really. Yeah. It's got its own cosmology, its own planes. But in this latest edition, they've kind of hinted that it is part of the kind of the D&D multiverse, I guess. So it's kind of in relation to Faerun in the same way that Ravnica is related.
Yeah. But then they said, after reading the Ravnica book, they said, this is its own, exists in its own world, its own universe and all this. But there's nothing to say that you can't have people from Faerun going there. And as they demonstrated with the Acquisition Incorporated,
exactly.
When Jeremy Crawford took over, it's like, right, we're going to Ravnica.
Yeah.
There's no reason you couldn't have, say, Drizzt on a journey through Eberron.
No, that would be a bit of a culture shock for
it.
But yeah,
it would.
If you wanted to do
before,
that, go
this is Dungeons and Dragons. You do what the fuck you want with it. But it'd be the same as, say you went from this world to Faerun.
That would be an interesting campaign, wouldn't it?
Yes,
a very interesting one to watch.
What I mean by that is, in this world, as far as we know anyway, there is no magic, there's no extra planes or anything like that. You go to Faerun, and then magic's everywhere, gods are actually present, and you can just go, I'm nipping to the Feywild.
Yeah.
and gone. And then you take that and you go to Eberron, you'd be like, oh, they're different gods. They take a bit more of a back seat.
If they are in fact even real at all.
Yeah. And it's different world.
Yeah,
different things
different
going
world,
on.
Different rules, different theme.
I think that's what you need really, because you don't just want a copy paste version of Faerun. It's like, this is Faerun, but we jumbled it around a bit.
Yeah, basically you don't want to just have like the Planet of Hats where like this is Fire Faerun and this is Ice Faerun and this is like Cowboy Faerun. Yeah. It's its own thing, and kind of the rules work kind of differently. There are different sort of expectations with Eberron with regards to things like you mentioned the gods in Faerun. They'll send down an avatar and then there'll be big god fights going on and people will be literally talking to their gods. Whereas in Eberron the gods are, say they're distant. People argue if they even exist at all. Yeah. This is a big pillar of fire. It's a very definite force for good. Is it a god? Arguably.
It gives people powers and they worship it. So
yeah, exactly.
If that's what qualifies it as being a god in their eyes, then yeah.
Yeah, and again with the kind of the assumptions of gods in Eberron, you don't necessarily have to worship a god. If you're a cleric, you can be a cleric of an ideal. You can be a cleric of a kind of a powerful figure. It's very much based on faith rather than a literal god turning on the magic tap for you.
I was reading about one of the races, I think it might have been the gnomes. They are agnostic. Is it the gnome? No, it's the goblins. Sorry, it's the goblinoids. Yeah, they're agnostic. So if you are the traditional goblinoids, I should say, you won't have like clerics, druids, and paladins.
No, they're bardic basically. They're kind of spiritual leaders, where the bards, telling stories of their great deeds.
Next race we've got are the shifters.
Yes.
So half lycanthropes.
Yeah.
Essentially. You've got different versions of shifters, which I didn't realise until reading this.
No, so the kind of explanation is each shifter kind of takes on a different sort of animal aspect. So you have a more sort of bear-like shifter, which will have the I can't remember what they've called the shifter versions.
I will tell you.
Is it the beast hide?
Beast hide, yes.
Yeah, so the beast hide gets kind of tough, where you might have one that's more wolf-like that gets the bite attack.
Yeah. So we have beast hide, which is more like a bear or a boar.
Yeah, that's kind of, you get tough.
The long tooth, which is more the
wolf. Get fighty and fighty.
Swift stride, which is more like a feline, probably like a were-tiger sort of descendant.
Go fast.
And the wild
hunt,
hedgehog. Or a rat, it even says. Yeah. Wild hunt, which are from any creature that tracks its prey.
Yeah.
So, it could be anything. And like I said, this Dungeons & Dragons, you can be descended from whatever you fucking want.
And in quite a few of the 3.5 adventures and source books and whatever, they had sort of non-mammal shifters. So there was one in the adventure that was basically just like a giant orca.
Yeah.
And that's such a cool concept. Like if you want to be basically an animal person, go with the shifter.
Yeah. Because we all love street sharks.
Hell yeah.
And lastly, and this is probably my favourite, it's everyone's favourite really.
Yeah,
the Warforged.
Warforged are like synonymous with Eberron. You can't have one without the other almost.
No. Now, the hardest thing for a lot of people to believe, which I struggle with as well, is Warforged are not robots.
Warforged are not robots.
Warforged are people too.
They don't have
equal
ears.
rights.
They don't go beep.
Warforged.
But no, this is kind of an in-setting point. It's a lot of people don't treat Warforged like people. They just see them as these, they're automatons that smash around the battlefield killing people. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh well, this one's got a job and he lives next to me. Okay.
Just like 4 years ago he was slicing heads. Now he's a barista.
Yeah.
It's
it's like meet my neighbour, the T1000.
But what I like about the Warforged, and if we go into depth with it in the actual creature setting, the race setting here, is they're so you can modify them quite a bit with what you want here. And they've got a standard thing. They've all got +1 bonus to armor class, and all that. But it's the specialized design. It's they get a skill and a tool, and as much as I say they're not robots, I just like the idea of just like, oh, I've got tinkerer's tools, for example, and just like their hand, because they've only got 3 fingers, and just go like that.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea of it.
But magic.
Yeah, but the whole thing is they're made from not just metal, they're made metal, stone and wood. Yeah. And now it's, if I remember rightly, the stone is essentially their bones. Yeah. So wood is their muscle and the metal is their skin. Yeah. Essentially, that's kind of how they're made up, with various alchemical fluids sloshing around in there, and crystal bits, and who else knows what's going on. Because of the wood and the fluids as well, that means that they're not immune to poison. They are resistant to it. Yeah. But they're not immune to it. So they can still be affected by things like normal human. They are living constructs. Is kind of how their creature type, what it was. They're humanoids nowadays. So now that 5th edition's kind of streamlined all that. Yeah. But back in the day, they still had a lot of the construct baggage. So that's why they don't need to sleep, and they kind of all that kind of stuff. But what I do like about what I've read from them is they don't need to sleep, but they do need to power down for 6 hours, but they are still aware. Yeah, so basically they just need to kind of rest their joints or whatever, and not be doing any strenuous activity for a bit while they, I won't say recharge their batteries, because that's just making them robots again. They refresh themselves. Yeah. And the last point on our 7 points the last point on our 7 points, 7 things to know, is the D&D with a twist, and that's we've talked about earlier, where it's just everything's got a place. Every spell, every item, every monster has its place, but it's just not where you think it would be. Yeah, so there's always like the opportunity to put a bit of a twist on any of the races, really. Like we talked about how the orcs and the elves are completely different. Humans, rather than just being the generic kitchen sink people, they've all got their like individual little niches now. Yeah. Halflings, they're barbarians riding on dinosaurs, so that's new. Yeah. But it just makes it easier as a DM as well, surely, where it's just like, okay, I need a bad guy. What kind of bad guy can I have? You've got your typical, I want a vampire lord or anything like that, or blah blah blah. But now you can just go, you know what? I want some kind of celestial, maybe. Yeah. And that person could be a bad person. Yeah, it's funny you should say celestials. Actually, there's a monster in the back now, the Radiant Idol, which is basically a fallen angel that started its own little cult. Yeah. So, you don't have to stick to the typical tropes of, this undead person is bad and this celestial person is good. This demon is bad. Yeah. If you could come across a demon that's like, I wouldn't necessarily say good, but I'd say they're not. The thing is, evil. They are. I was going to say, in terms of like their creature type, they're literally made of evil. They can do no evil, but they might be offering you a very good deal. There's no kind of comeuppance to you, but it's kind of furthering their agenda somehow. Yeah, it's like they're not all like, I'm going to eat your soul. They're like, hey, why don't you take the sword and go and kill that bad guy you've been killing? And you're like, okay, what's the catch? No, it's fine. And everything will be fine until 100 years later, when one of the overlords breaks free because of some obscure bit of the prophecy you fulfilled for them. Yeah, and that is quite a big thing, which we'll come to in a minute. The draconic prophecy. Draconic prophecy, yes. First, we're going to talk about the brief history of Eberron and its creation myth. Yes, this is very cool. So, I like. What I love about it is Eberron is essentially 3 dragons. Yeah. Well, Eberron is the one. Well, sorry, not Eberron, but the world that this is. Yeah, the cosmology. The cosmology is essentially 3 dragons, and they 3 are progenitor dragons. Sybaris, Eberron, and Kabara. Yeah. So they're otherwise known as the dragon above, the dragon below, and the dragon between. Yeah. Basically, Kabara, the bad one, killed Sybaris, who is now the ring of Sybaris around the planet. Yeah. And then Eberron basically kind of trapped. Couldn't kill Kabara, so trapped it. Yeah. And that's within themselves, and now kind of so you've got Eberron is the surface of the planet, and Kabara is the underworld, basically. Yeah. What is kind of like the Underdark meets the Nine Hells meets the Abyss. Yes. Yeah, because that's another thing as well. The Underdark in this, I say the Underdark just because it's easier to understand. Yeah. Isn't the Underdark as it would be in Faerun? No, it's not just the big caves. And the plains, where they might be a bit more difficult to traverse in Faerun, are a little more they're a little easier to.
Yeah, the planes, rather than just being this kind of far away world that you can go to if you want, they have a kind of profound effect on the planet. They sort of go, their influence waxes and wanes, and they're more kind of concepts rather than just like, oh, this is the plane of fire. Fernier is the plane of kind of chaos and destruction and the things that fire embodies, whereas the plane of ice is the plane of kind of stasis and stagnation and things never changing. So, and then you have these areas in Eberron called manifest zones, which are an extremely cool concept where kind of the planar influence leaks into the material plane. So for example, Sharn can only be a mile tall because it is on a manifest zone to Serania, the plane of air, which allows kind of flight and anti-gravity magic and whatever to be enhanced in its area. So, without that, the towers would just come crashing down because you can't build a mile high with, bricks and mortar and stone and stuff.
No. But coming back to the history here, so the shattered Sybaris, which is now the Ring of Sybaris, that is where all the Dragon Shard stones.
That's where the Sybaris Dragon Shard. There are 3 types of Dragon Shards.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so the Sybaris ones are the kind of the light golden-ish ones, which rain down from the Ring of Sybaris. They are used to kind of enhance Dragonmark powers and things of that ilk. The Eberron Dragon Shards are found sort of loosely under the surface, which is why it's easy to dig them up from swamps and things. And they're the ones that kind of power the magical industry and what most magic items include. And then the Kyber Dragon Shards, which are found deep down in Kyber, they are used for kind of binding and trapping of things. So sort of binding demons, binding elementals, binding people's souls. They're kind of like the soul gems from Elder Scrolls.
Oh yeah.
And a similar sort of effect to that.
Yeah. So as we get into this,
page 6.
We're on page 6.
Yep.
We're not going to just go through page by page. Don't worry.
We're going to be here for 17 days.
But there's just so much in this. I mean, we could very easily just sit here and just talk about everything that you've got in here. It goes into talk about things like the money that they use, and like every coin's got a different name.
Yes, and the thing I love about it is it's alliterative, so it's easy to remember. Copper Crown, Silver Sovereign, Golden Galifar. And then they went Platinum Dragon, which is like that doesn't. That's not alliterative.
Yeah, but Platinum Dragon we remember because of Bahamut.
Yeah,
obviously. But then it goes into what services you can get, which are your normal services that are in like Player's Handbook and stuff like that. But this goes into like, oh, I want a courier service, so you obviously go to House Orion for that, and it it's just a magical way of doing it. Healing services, the main one that you're going to get is like the non-magical stuff where they just
patch
like it said before, go to a hospital, not a church.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Sit you up in a bed.
Are the Kyber crystals used in D&D lightsabers? Ha! So that we're not going to dignify that one because that was actually our cameraman that asked that one. So, but
God,
but all I'm saying is Dungeons and Dragons, do what you want. If you really want to use Kyber crystals in a D&D lightsaber, go for it.
Yeah, is some blade it's made with Kyber crystal. If you stab a demon, it'll suck it in.
Yeah.
Boom, done.
There we go. Does that answer your question, Graham?
You're happy now.
Thank you.
You're still not getting one.
So next first chapter of the book actually, because that was all just still the welcome.
Yeah.
First chapter is a character creation. Now we've gone over the races, but what I like about this is it tells you sort of like the brief history of the races, like each individual race, the ones like dwarves and things like that, your changelings, and it will give you that brief sort of like history of it, and it will say like, okay, if you're from the Maror Holds, then you need to why did you come from the Maror Holds? Why have you left your clan? What is it, part of your family? But then it also goes into, it's like, this whole thing is whatever, the whole continent. You can be a dwarf that's from Breland, And what I like about it as well is like, if you're a dwarf who grew up in a human country, you probably don't know Dwarvish.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas a halfling that grew up in the Rawholds probably does instead of halfling.
It's in Eberron, you kind of almost better starting with your kind of character concept and country rather than being, I want to be a dwarf warlock. I want to be a dwarf from Sharn. It's kind of the region kind of it dictates your character almost more than the race does. In this case, it's not like all elves know how to fight with swords and can speak these languages and cast these spells. That there are huge differences depending on if you're an Eberron elf or if you're a Valon elf or where you're from, basically.
We've got another question from 481. Are there any new classes? There is a new class.
Oh, yes, there is.
Called the Artificer.
And
it's got a few subclasses in as well. We will go into that shortly. But just imagine you could create something using magic and machinery. A magic punk. I think that's what you called it before, wasn't it? Just magic punk. Instead of steampunk and everything, magic punk.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Another one from J. Malers Pino. Kyber are for binding, elements and other stuff. Eberron shards, powering magic items. Sybris shards, powering Dragonmark focus items. So
Dragonmark focus items are basically what allow the Dragonmark houses to do what they do extra well.
Yeah. Which comes into any Eberron campaign.
There are some in the magic item section.
Well, obviously, any Same Dwarf left the Rawholds because their clan is going crazy engaging in a horrific file. Yes, that's a very good point as well. The grafting of symbiotes to the dwarves. And the picture it gives you is a dwarf with a tentacle whip as well. With a
very dapper waistcoat, I have to say.
I'll tell you what, he looks... That is the most hipster dwarf I've ever seen.
That's a character I could play. That's the whole symbiote thing is kind of new to 5th edition. Previously, dwarves were a little bit, I don't want to say generic, but there wasn't a lot separating Eberron dwarves from regular Faerun dwarves. Whereas this is kind of something. It's like, this is interesting.
We need to give them something that's out there, something outside.
And rather than it just kind of being shoehorned in out of nowhere, it's more of an expansion on the existing lore. Because previously they had found their ancient kingdom and it was in ruins. Now they found it and it's in ruins because the Delcair have just filled it full of aberrations, and now some of them are using the aberrations tools to fight them.
That's a very good way of looking at it. So Dragonborn, again, you only get this little paragraph about Dragonborn. It's because they are sort of they're there, just fill in your own things there.
Even so, there are you can have very interesting Dragonborn characters. If you want to play a Dragonborn. It could be there are a lot of hooks in there.
Then it goes into the elves. So we've spoken about the high elves, which are known as the Ereni, and the wood elves, which are known as the Ternadal, and obviously the Drow of Zendrick, split into their 3 clans: the Volkori, the Umbragin, and the Silatar. Each one's different, and I'd say that.
Which I like rather than just having one monolithic spider worshipping lol for Drow culture. You've got options now.
And again, I wouldn't say that any of them were necessarily evil. They just have...
No, they might try and kill you on sight, but that's probably because everyone they've had encounters with have tried to plunder their ancient relics or similar.
And one of the things that it says when you're reading it is how the Drow tend to, they were there pretty much to hunt the other types of elves. That's what they were created for. And because they've been separated for so long, and say you had a Drow that went to, I don't know, Thrain or whatever, and met another elf, they might be on first sight suspicious or anything like that, or they might be you're like nothing like the monsters that we were told about, sort of thing. And vice versa. So that's an interesting way of looking at it. Gnomes we've been over with those. Goblinoids, I like the whole...
I like that goblins are now kind of a valid character option. You can play a goblin, a hobgoblin or a bugbear in a group of adventurers, and it won't be like or kill the monster on sight. No one will be like, ooh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It's you fit in basically. It's just more options is always good.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have some kind of tragic backstory. It's like, oh, I'm an outcast from my kind. I want to be good, but everyone else is evil. You can actually have interesting character motivations.
Yeah. And it gives you a few sort of like groups, like cultures of the goblins. Your main one is probably the city goblins, which are going to be like
everywhere.
Yeah.
So very much integrated into sort of the human society of the Kingdom of Galifar.
But the one that I'm really excited about is the half elves.
Oh
the Corvair, which they are called. And the interesting way that they look at it is, and it gives you, as it does in every D&D book, 5th edition at least, it gives you a little reading from, maybe from a book or something like this. This one is, I'm not half anything. You humans came from Sarlona. Elves are from Erenel. Me, I'm a true child of Corvair.
Yeah. So they call themselves the Corvair, the children of Corvair.
Yeah. And that is just fantastic because they make their own...
half elves actually have their own racial identity now, rather than just being half of an elf or half of a human.
And you don't have to play it as that whole outcasted from the elves because I'm not pure blood and I'm not trusted by the humans. But you don't have to play it. It's like you're just half elf. It even says in there that humans would look at them as just like any other race. Yeah. Just like there's an orc, there's a half elf, there's a So I just really like that. Like that idea. Halflings, it goes on to the whole...
Infinitely cooler than any other edition.
Oh, yeah. You're not looking at Frodo Baggins here. No. You're looking at, if Frodo Baggins was riding a raptor...
Yeah, Frodo Baggins...
Up Mount Doom.
Yeah, if he went and raided
shaved his head.
Park.
That's what we're going for. But it's just amazing. Humans...
But again, if you're a city halfling, you're probably, Bilbo Baggins. Yeah. You can play it however you want.
Yeah. Again, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Humans, I think we've covered a lot of that. There's the humans are the widest sort of like range of, but as they are in pretty much all the other ones as well.
Humans are humans.
Yeah.
Humans.
Clashheart.
Yeah.
Which we've
again very interesting.
Been over. Orcs and half orcs. Pardon me. Like I said before, the main thing I like about that is that they are more of sort of like nature's guardians. So that's the role that they've taken.
Yeah, they've got this kind of really strong druidic tradition.
Yeah.
And they actually have something other than sort of roving marauders.
Yeah. Shifters.
Yeah.
Which we've again been over different types. I don't know a lot about shifters, if I'm honest with you.
No, they're always kind of like they're everywhere. They're kind of a bit in the background.
Yeah.
I don't think they're never really kind of. It'd be probably rare to see like a shifter noble. But yeah, again, they're kind of in the Eldeen Reaches. They are pretty common. Again, sort of strong sort of ranger and druidic traditions.
It's got a little bit about tieflings here.
Tieflings again are another sort of shoe-in after 3.5 when they became a main player race. The thing I really like about tieflings, and actually one of the players in the campaign I'm running at the moment is playing a tiefling. They don't have to have anything to do with demons whatsoever.
No.
As I've said about the manifest zones with the planar influence, if your child is born while the plane of fire is particularly kind of strong influence, you might have a baby tiefling. It's got red skin and affinity to fire, and that's just kind of like, oops, that happened. There's no demonic pact. There's no big sinister granddaddy Demogorgon going to come to claim your child's soul or anything. It's just cool character.
Another point was going back to the Mournland. If they were born,
exactly,
like near or in the Mournland, they could have easily.
Or even if they just managed to survive the morning, emerge from the mist, all of a sudden you got horns and red skin.
Instead of your infernal legacy, it's now powered by whatever magic is responsible for the morning. So, and then we're on to Warforged.
Yeah, which we could probably just fill a whole hour talking about how awesome Warforged are.
Warforged are amazing.
Everyone play one right now.
Now the different Dragonmarks, and it goes in, and you see
These are very cool, just in the terms of the design and the look.
I mean, look at them; they're fantastic. And
Very
what these
sexy.
are essentially like genetic brands.
Yeah, kind of.
That certain people of the different houses get, and each one comes with a different power.
These are physical manifestations of the draconic prophecy that we talked about last time.
Yeah.
So, when these first kind of manifested on the mortal races, the dragons just collectively flipped their shit, because this wasn't meant to happen. Previously, you'd see they sort of observe the Dragonmarks kind of in the sky, in the clouds, in the swirl of the tides and whatever. And now you've got all these little people running around with them on. How the hell are we meant to interpret this?
Yeah, exactly.
But most people don't care or even know about the prophecy. They're just like, I've got this magic tattoo that makes this really easy.
Let's talk about this prophecy. Okay. So, from what I've read, this is from me. Right, feel free to correct me as you will. But from what I've read briefly in this book, is the draconic prophecy is symbols very much like this.
Yeah,
can be seen in
marks.
Basically Dragonmarks can be seen in various things. They just occur naturally.
Yeah.
Like if you cut a tree in half, there might be a couple in there, sort of thing. And it's about people reading them. Now it takes a long time to do, so it's not necessarily mortals that when you're saying people reading them, it's more like
predominantly
dragons.
The dragons and the demons are the ones that are trying to wrest this prophecy and make it work to their ends.
It gives an example, and it says the Bear King will be assassinated in the shadow of the morning.
Yeah.
And it says now this could be King Boronel because his sigil is a bear.
Yeah.
And it would be he'd be assassinated in he'd have to be assassinated in the Mournlands, or he could be assassinated on the the anniversary of the Day of Mourning, or anything like that. But it just means that when that happens, something else will happen.
Yes. Yeah. So it's all about.
But it has to happen
in a certain way.
But it's also interpretive as to what that way is.
Yeah. So it's basically the saying is the prophecy is never wrong, but it's often misinterpreted.
Yeah.
So it may be a fiend has discovered a particular passage of the prophecy that, if fulfilled, will end up releasing one of the demon overlords, and it's kind of is this going to happen in a year, or is this going to happen in similar circumstances 50 years down the line? And they've got all the time in the world, so they'll just keep trying it over and over again. Yeah. And kind of similar with the dragons, but it's this kind of nebulous thing that they're trying to make work for them. But it's kind of it's bigger than any mortal or immortal race can really get a handle on. Yeah. And a fantastic plot hook for the M's to just here's a prophecy. Is it real? Ooh.
Yes.
You'll never know.
It goes into all the different houses.
This is something I really like, is like the house kind of sigils that they've done for 5th edition, because previously they had these very elaborate kind of coat of arms kind of things, and like it's not really something you could have printed on a shield or on a uniform, but these are just like neat little
just
symbols.
A little symbol.
Yeah, if you see the mark of House Madani, that's what it'll be, the basilisk's eye.
Yeah. So as I say, we just give a brief overview of each house and the mark associated with it. Yeah. So House Madani is associated with a mark of detection, and they are a family of half elves.
Yeah. So their mark is all about kind of stopping threats before they happen.
Yeah.
Almost.
So with each of the marks, one of the main things you get are if you're a spellcasting class, you will get certain spells that will. Like if you were, say, a Tempest cleric, you would get certain spells that aren't normally on your spell list, but act as them.
Extra spells.
Yeah, extra spells. Yeah. And that's essentially what you get here, and it's the things like detect evil and good, detect poison and disease. Yeah. But one thing you also get, so that you don't have to be a spellcaster to use it, is each one has like an innate spellcasting ability, like some of the races already have, where it's like, once a day you can cast this spell. Yeah. So this one's like exactly that. You can cast detect magic or see invisibility at 3rd level. Things like that. But then you also get, because these are like variant races.
So it kind of replaces most of the other racial.
Yeah. So essentially you won't have to use like a player's handbook to look at most of the half-elf stuff in this, the only thing you'd have to look it up for is like this usual stuff like language and speed and all that stuff, which is by now, if everyone knows that stuff now, surely. But it does give you your score increases and then just your abilities. So it would be, you won't be a half-elf in the sense of Player's Handbook half-elf.
No, you are a member of House Madani, of this particular bloodline.
Next up is the Mark of Finding. And this is House Tharashk. And it only comes in half-orcs or humans.
So that's one of the only Dragonmarks that has more than one race available. It's kind of it's a where does the half-orc end and the human begin kind of thing. They've kind of interbred for so many generations. It's kind of an academic difference as to whether you're a half-orc or a human.
One thing I like about it is it's the same. So whether you're playing a half-orc or a human is irrelevant.
You've got the same
stats. That's it. And it's the only time that a human's going to get dark vision for being a human as well. But usual spells. Basically, each house has its own purpose. And Tharashk, their house is mainly for
it's the Mark of Finding. It's for finding things.
If you want to find someone, you go to House Tharashk. That's pretty much their thing. And
there's kind of a bit of overlap between most of the houses. There's sort of areas where they're almost encroaching on each other's things. So, it might be if you need someone found, you might go to House Madani, you might go to House Tharashk, depending on what's happened. It's like if you want to know, someone's been murdered, you want to know who done it, you go to House Madani. If you want to know where they are, you go to House Tharashk.
And the sort of spells that you get from that, it's got locate animal and plants, locate objects,
finding things.
The finding things spells. The Mark of Handling. So House Vidalis, which are humans. Mark of Handling, as the name suggests, it's all about animals. Their main thing that they do are that is mainly like the breeding of
it's breeding, training, handling,
animals,
all that kind of thing.
So horses and that sort of thing.
Also, magical beasts are more domesticated, basically. Train sort of hippogriffs, griffins, things like that. You go to House Vidalis, you get a cool flying mount. Only after level 60 though.
Why not? Why not? Level 60?
That's World of Warcraft levels.
Damn it. And again, stuff like that. It's all to do with animals. So you've got your animal friendship, speak with animals, that sort of thing, as you'd expect. Next is House Jurassico, the halflings, and they have the Mark of Healing. So, like we said before, if you're injured, go to a hospital.
Halfling will fix you right up. No problem. Jobs are good. And
because not everyone in the house has a dragon mark.
No.
As well. So, and one of the things that I like about it is the way that there's the little suffixes. And prefixes that they give. It's prefix in this case. If you are a member of the family, so say my name was Jolan, and I was Jolan Jurassico, member of House Jurassico. If I got a dragon mark, it would be Jolan de Jurassico.
You kind of
just adding that
D prefix denotes that you have a dragon mark, and similarly, if you're a member of a landed noble house, you have the ear prefix to your name, and it basically lets you throw your weight around at people. So yes, I'm Jolan de Jurassico. I think you'll find people. Come this way, so let me get you a table.
I've had this bad bag. So the spells that you get from that are your typical things like cure wounds and lesser restoration is the big one. Healing.
That's what they do.
Another halfling house is House Galander with the Mark of Hospitality.
So taverns, restaurants, any kind of place that people rest their weary heads.
The stuff you get from that is food related, goodberry, create food and water, that sort of thing. But what I read as well was it was the halflings and their Dragonmarks of healing and hospitality that sort of paved the way for humans taking over Corvair. In sort of like, well, or one of the things that the halflings say at least was, you know, they made it a nice place for the humans to come in, sort of like take over, sort of thing. Next up, probably the most famous of the houses, I'd say.
Yeah, again, kind of with the Eberron association with Warforged, and then the Warforged association with House Cannith, Mark of Making.
House Cannith and the Mark of Making, human house.
Yeah. That's something that I remember a lot of people being like, oh, Mark of Making, why don't the dwarves have it? Because the dwarves make things. It's less, it's not, it's not the mark of fine crafting, it's the Mark of Making. It's the mark of throwing magic at the wall to see what sticks and coming up with new stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really what they're the mad inventors, the tinkerers, the making things.
I mean, we're talking about the people who made the Warforged.
Yeah, exactly.
And God knows how many other, like, you know, weapons, and not just weapons, but
all magical utilities.
I mean, I know we've got like House Loranda with the airships.
Yeah,
but I'm sure
House Orion with the lightning rail.
Yeah, I'm sure that Cannith was potentially involved in the helping of the construction of it, at least.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, because there's no reason why the houses won't work together. I mean, I know they're all after power and wealth.
No, there is an organisation known as the 12, which is basically to foster inter-house relationships and have them working together on projects. That's how you got things like the lightning rail, the airships, all of the Dragonmark focus items and things like that.
Oh well. There you go. And obviously the things like that are like the mending cantrip that you get and stuff, you know, stuff that you would expect.
Artificer stuff.
Yeah. The Mark of Passage from House Orion, as we said before. This is a human one.
Yeah.
And this is their main thing that they are about is like transport, so lightning rails, the roads,
travelling.
Travelling.
Sort of couriers, moving people, moving cargo on the land. House Orion, they people.
Well, like I said, the lightning rails, they are their main contribution. And as you can see on the map here,
I've got the little lightning rail lines.
There we go. These little light orange lines that are crisscrossing all over. All right, the red ones, the darker ones, they're normal roads.
Yeah,
the orange ones, they're your lightning rails. So the way the lightning rails work, it's a bound elemental that powers them. Yeah, so it's bound air elemental causes this lightning ring, and then it passes over these sort of elemental conductor stones, and it's basically like a maglev train. Yeah, but magic and awesome because it's shooting lightning everywhere. It's a maglev train, but in this instance, the mag is short for magic. Legit. Next up, we've got the gnomes of House Civis and the Mark of Scribing. So that's information is their main thing. And again, it's got this kind of crossover between the houses. You know, if you've got a letter you need delivering, it goes to House Orion. If you need it going extra fast, you go to House Civis. It's kind of the tension, the conflict there between the houses. Yeah. But then you've got to look at, you know, how important is the message? Exactly. How much money do I have? Well, as well. There's the cost. You know, it's like a copper per mile if you want it. Yeah, if you're sending a letter. Or it's like however many gold to just go straight to someone. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But you know, that's a letter or a telegram. That's pretty much the same as the world now, isn't it? Yeah. Really? You know. Well, not really now because of internet being a thing, but. They haven't quite cottoned onto the internet, but you know, if they did invent it, it would be House. It would be House Civis. Yeah. House Civis would make the internet, but House Cannith would make the computers. True. Okay. Next up, another human house, the Mark of the Sentinel with House Denith, which we spoke to about earlier, and they are pretty much like your bodyguards. Yeah, pretty much. They were a large mercenary kind of contingent in the last war as well. They're the only Dragonmark house that's allowed to have a standing army, basically. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, if you had like a human paladin, that would be sort of your paladins fighters. Yeah, paladins fighters. Any kind of martial class like that. Anyone can hold shield and protect someone. Yeah, House Denith. And obviously it's a lot of looking at the spell list. It's a lot of like paladin spells that you get. You get Bigby's hand at 5th. Yeah, interposing. So it would be and you know. You also get abilities as well, so you can cast a shield spell once with this trait, and when a creature you can see within 5 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to swap places with that creature. There's things like that.
Yeah. So making you good at protecting people and things.
Now the next one is interesting.
This is
the only elf one, but it's 2 houses.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a, I think it was called the Shadow Schism, where they basically had a big falling out on one of the main family lines, House... Yeah. Can't remember which split off. House Valon.
So House Valon was the main one that came to...
and then House Thorani split off from House Valon.
Yes. And it's the Mark of Shadow.
Yes, and despite the sinister name, they're kind of entertainers, artisans, any kind of sort of endeavour that creates anything artistic. So you want to hire a singer.
From what I can understand, it's like, yes, we're artists, we're singers, we're all this. A little bit of spying on the side.
That's a ridiculous rumour. Where have you heard that? They're perfectly above board. Yeah. They have never spied on or assassinated anyone, ever.
Moving on. It's... and what I like about it as well, you get sort of the artwork of, all done by the various people. So this artwork here was done by Wayne Reynolds. And it just shows... each because it's a different artist as well. I mean, I'm a big art fan here. This one was done by her name, Suzanne Henley. Right. So just different, because they've gone for a different artist each time. It's just different character to it all.
Wayne Reynolds was a very big artist in the food portfolio. He did all the multi-page spreads, which are absolutely fantastic.
He's got a very distinctive art style. Yeah, I mean,
especially if you just played Pathfinder, he does most of the art for that.
Yeah, that's where I've seen it. Yeah, Pathfinder. I mean, you can recognise his artwork anywhere, really. So next up, Half Elves, House Loranda, the Mark of Storm.
Yeah, the most metal sounding.
It is awesome.
Shoot lightning.
Yeah,
kinda.
Shoot lightning, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So
they're like House Orion of the sea and the sky, basically.
Yeah.
And also with a little bit of weather control. You want a sunny day for your wedding, you can paint Raincallers Guild, clear skies.
Which, helps because their main contribution was the airships in recent years.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that is a very recent thing, the airships. But prior to that,
but
shipping.
It is so recent, however, that there aren't that many airships, are
there?
No. And most cities don't have like docking towers or anything like that.
No, exactly. It's definitely one of those kind of those new things that came out of the war, kind of like how jet engines came out of World War II. It's one of those developments that is now moving into like the civilian sector. You're getting these big cruise airships with all the fancy luxuries on. Yeah.
And lastly, the only dwarf one, which is House Kundarak and the Mark of Warding.
Yes.
So this is for like protections, things like that. So you've got like the alarm spell, glyph of warding, that sort of thing. Yeah. Which
they're very much like the home security and banking guilds.
So that is the houses. Now Aberrant Dragonmark.
Yeah, so these are a bit of like a wild card in the whole Dragonmark situation.
Now talk me through what an Aberrant Dragonmark is.
So an Aberrant Dragonmark, unlike the Dragonmarks that can only like manifest on a particular race, these can in theory manifest on anyone.
Yeah.
The most common thing is where two members of different Dragonmarked houses, if they have a child, there's a high chance their child will have an Aberrant Dragonmark. You can't mix the marks, basically. Yeah. And it is... Whereas all the Dragonmarks have kind of constructive powers, Aberrant Dragonmarks are usually fairly destructive in the ability that they grant. So it may be things like burning hands or cause fear, something like that. Yeah. And they can be sort of unpredictable and uncontrollable. They might just go off when you don't want them to, and they're generally seen as kind of a bit of a curse rather than anything that you want to have. And certainly in society they're very much sort of looked upon with fear. A bit like X-Men, but actually bad. A League of Evil Mutants, a Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And there is kind of an Aberrant Dragonmark house, if you will, House Tarkanan.
House Tarkanan,
which kind of act as sort of thugs, assassins, mercenaries under the guise of, I'll take these poor people in if no one else will care for them.
Yeah. Very much like an Oliver Twist sort of.
Yeah. But with more evil magical powers.
If Oliver Twist was some kind of spell-slinging evil bastard. Next up, we've got a new background for you before we get on to the new class, and that is House Agent. So it speaks for itself, really.
Yeah.
You can just say, right, I want to be from House Cannith. You don't have to be a member of the family, but you can work for them.
Yeah, so you'd be part of the Tinkers Guild or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And it says, you get certain proficiencies
benefits
and blah blah with that. Now, the bit that we've all been waiting for is the Artificer class. And what I like about this,
sexy class,
that you don't get in any of the other books where they're just giving you like subclasses and stuff, but this is its own whole class, and that's
it's
just
like the first new class in 5th edition.
It's
done it, guys. Woo!
So everything about it, just so much to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk you through everything because
there's plenty of videos out there that already do.
Buy the book.
Yeah.
But you get your tinkering, you get your things. The sub-classes.
Yeah, so you get the...
So it's called the Artificer Specialist.
Yeah.
No, it's not. What is it?
We've got another question.
What's this? We have. So this is more of a modern setting compared to the medieval setting of Faerun.
It's kind of slightly more Renaissance than medieval, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's certainly not modern. They haven't quite got to the kind of the very modern sensibilities yet.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, whereas Faerun's kind of stayed medieval for like 100,000 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone is very much like advancing.
Yeah. So it could be that if they ever decide that they're going to bring a Eberron 2.
Yeah.
Set in 100 years or something.
Who's that said about the year?
So it's roughly late 1800s to early 1920, 1930.
Yeah, so in terms of things like sort of the fashions, the styles, the newspapers, the I won't say technology, but the magical advancements, it could fall anywhere really in that.
It's hard to, where Faerun is very sort of medieval, it's hard to really place Eberron in such a way, because it's like, if it was Earth and Faerun, this is the medieval, but where it's Earth and Eberron, it's like Earth has gone here, Eberron's sort of like gone this way, sort of thing.
And even you look over the Talenta Plains and they're practically prehistoric over there.
Yeah, I mean,
you come over to Alden and they've got the latest magical mod cons. They've got this magical cooled aircon and cleansing stones.
What I will compare it to slightly is potentially the world of Avatar. Whereas you look at the first series of Avatar, Last Airbender, and it was all like very like sort of like the feudal China sort of era, and then
bam, industrial
60
revolution.
years, boom, everyone's driving cars, stuff like that, sort of thing. But coming back to the Artificer. So
subclasses. We've got
subclasses.
The Alchemist.
Now, where are we looking for subclasses on here? Artificer Specialist.
Yeah.
So Alchemist.
Making potions.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Making some potions. Everything that you need to know about. I just love it. I just love it. Artillerist.
I'm meant to be the one that's gushing.
I know, but the Artillerist. So all I've just looked at here is the word flamethrower, and then Force Ballista. Yeah.
So that's the battlefield kind of let's blow things up in that direction.
That's just fantastic. And then you've got Battlesmith.
Yeah. That's the kind of the martial artificer. I'll grab a sword and hit things with my little robot dog friend.
I mean, look at it. Look at this little robot doggy. Look at him.
Yeah. Is it Steel Defender now? It's had an upgrade from the Iron Defender.
Steel Defender. Yeah. I mean, look at that.
That's a bit. Why would you not want to play that?
In Eberron, you can pet the dog. But yeah, it's even got the little stats for the Steel Defender here, and
But yeah, the thing that I kind of take away from Artificer is just the sheer amount of options you get in it. Like, I mean, with all the different infusions, you can have build your own selection of magical items.
To give you an inkling on how much depth there is gone into this this class. When you look at like the player's handbook and you've got maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 pages on a class, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages just for the Artificer.
That's like, I think Warlock's approaching that with the options, but that's nothing else.
But nowhere near that. Nowhere near that.
So many options.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
And it's got replicate magic items.
Yeah. So
come on.
Yeah, because 5th edition is kind of assuming that magic items are this kind of rare thing that if you're very, very lucky, you might delve down in a dungeon and find an ancient relic, and the Artificer's like, boom, magic item, boom, magic item, boom, magic item. How do you like that?
It's just like it. What do you want? You want some goggles at night? Here's some goggles at night. I got all of them. It's just, this apparatus of coalition can fit so many people in. But another thing that they add for character creation is something that you have to work, instead of making your own character individually, it's like, right, I want to be a dwarf artificer. Great, that's your character.
Yeah.
Right, you've got your background, you've got everything like that. One thing that you need to work together as a group is what they're calling the group patron.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, this is someone who is a reason for your group being together.
Yeah, and as a DM, this is just like the best thing ever, because so often you start a campaign, oh yeah, I've got ideas, and then you've just got this 5 like random disparate people, and you're just like, why the hell would these people ever even talk to each other, let alone adventure together? They never really kind of gel as a party.
I mean, we've got that in our campaign at the minute as well. You know, why would any of us talk to each other?
But circumstances dictate. But this is, you can have this common thread in the party, and this either a common goal or a common benefactor, or just this huge debt that you all need to outrun. You serve together in the last war or whatever it may be. It kind of gives you a reason.
It can literally be
a cohesive.
It gives you some examples, which is like to do. But it could be anything from guilds, it could be old friends, it could be family, it could be one of the houses, it could be Boronel from Breland.
Yeah.
That, like, the king of Breland could just go. It could be anything. It could be some kind of like deity from beyond the stars to say, "Give me 5 teenagers with attitude," sort of thing. That sort of thing.
But yeah, there are. Eberron is just absolutely rife with like different sort of organisations and factions that can come into play. And the beauty of it is, DM is you can really kind of pick and choose the ones that you think are going to be relevant, run with them, and the rest just kind of fade into the background. Like, you don't need to worry about what the Dreaming Dark is doing if they're not a part of your campaign.
No. And there's plenty to go on without just going, right, every Eberron campaign has to have this main bad guy.
Yeah. Because there are so many.
Like I said before, looking at the map, you can go anywhere in here. You could start in the Talenta Plains and never leave it, and there's enough to do there.
Yeah,
and that is probably the most scarce place, I'd say. But there's just so much to do.
So many options.
This is still going into
that. I noticed there is a huge amount on these group patrons. They're really going hard on it, and I really like it. There's a lot of interesting things in there.
There's so many pages in there.
The thing I really like is the little kind of in-universe newspaper clippings they've got that kind of give you like an impression on how Breland views like Karnath, for example, on this one.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily true, but they are very much like in-universe how people would kind of react and write.
Yeah. What the hell is that? Sora Kell and a dreamer. What the hell are dreamers?
Someone who is asleep and currently dreaming, in this case. Sora Kell being basically a demon.
Oh, so that's... Alright, I'm with you.
So, that is Sora Kell.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to go past that because that is nightmare fuel.
Well, don't get to the monster section. Oh boy.
Right, so skipping ahead.
I think we are going to have to kind of start accelerating now because we've been talking for like 3 times as long as we thought we would.
Right, yeah. Skipping ahead to chapter 2. This is called the Corvair Gazetteer.
Yeah, so this is basically, like I said before, like breaking down by region, saying what's cool in this region.
Yeah.
If you're from this region, what you're doing there, where you're going, how did the war affect it, things like that.
Yeah. So pretty stuff. Look at that Rakshasa.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. How fantastic is that? And that artwork is by Brian Valenzuela. Oh, just amazing.
The artwork in this is on point. There's a lot of recycled art, but all of the new stuff is just phenomenally good.
I mean, dinosaurs.
Yeah.
A world where you've got robots that aren't really robots and dinosaurs.
That are actually dinosaurs.
And then magic trains and just how can you not love it? It's just how can you not? There's just so much.
And the thing is, even if you don't like that, you play a campaign in Zendrick and you're basically Tomb of Annihilation. You stick it in Zendrick, jobs are good. You're dungeon crawling through a forest, fighting giants and drow.
It goes into the other like continents, like we just said, Zendrick. It's got Zendrick there.
I mean, I could talk for ages on just how cool Zendrick is as a concept. Crazy jungle.
Sounds like a 1980s film.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Do what?
Yeah, like dialect de Nora.
Dragons. You do what you want. if you want to play it as like a detective movie like 1930s, like she walked in my room and all I could smell was the smoke on her breath. That sort of thing.
Turns out she was a half dragon.
Or if you want to play it as like we're gonna kill some zombies in fucking Karnath.
Yeah.
Do it. Play the game you want to play. Chapter 3, however, is all about Sharn, the City of Towers.
Yes. So big they had like whole source book dedicated to it in 3.5. There is a lot.
The original pitch mentioned Maltese Falcon, Indiana Jones, and that's fantastic. That's pretty much spot on. But like with any D&D setting, it's if you're and I can't stress this enough as a DM as well. If you get inspiration from a film or a book or a TV show or anything like that, then use it, run with it. If you
rip it off as hard as you can,
and
hope that none of the players have seen it.
As long as everyone at the table is having fun, you're not going wrong. That's it.
There is a whole lot of fun to be had in Eberron.
Yeah, if you're like, this is a really cool setting, but I want to do it so it's very much like Lord of the Rings. Then do a Lord of the Rings one. Or you want it's like, I like Mad Max, so I want to do sort of a Mad Max thing. I mean, the Descent into Avernus is essentially a Mad Max campaign set in hell, but Demon West. It can all be there. But here is a little dissected map of Sharn.
Yeah, it's not normally that broken into pieces.
No. So, except for the Skyway, which is actually a cloud city. Then you've got the upper city, which is very posh, the middle city, which is sort of
less
middle,
posh.
The lower city, which is sort of your slums,
it's trash,
and then the cogs, which is
it's kind of the industrial district, really.
It makes the slums look sort of like upper class. Yeah. I'd say. So the cogs is very just.
I don't think many people live there by any kind of choice.
No, and then lava pools. So, but the cogs is very much like your shady sort of like,
the cogs is like say the industrial district basically.
Yeah.
Like you only kind of live there if you are really.
If you're going there, go armed and in numbers. That's pretty much what you want. We've got a thing about districts in here.
Yeah, there's so much information.
That they. And I could understand that they could easily release another one of these books about it. And it certainly makes.
Well, the great thing is that the
so much.
like 3.5 book Sharn City of Towers, there's not a lot of setting specific stuff in there. You can just take it and run it exactly as it is in 5th edition, pretty much.
Yeah.
Sharn just like the towers themselves. It just goes on and on this chapter.
Yeah. Chapter 4 is all about building Eberron adventures. So that gives you. Just like
there's a lot of just general good DMing advice in this section. A lot of things that I've looked at and been like, that would be good just in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Why is they waited until Eberron to print this?
Yeah. But it's just just like ideas of enemies, some maps to use.
Yeah. Always handy.
Yeah. You can never have too many maps planned.
Right.
You know, stuff about dragon shards in here.
Yeah, kind of breaking down all the sort of villainous factions and how they can possibly come into play.
Keep moving.
So there's like more maps, more factions.
There's so much.
There is
stuff.
That's what I thought. Like looking through this, I'm like, there doesn't seem to be a single wasted page in this.
Is that a giant warforge?
Yeah. So this
just looking at this, right? This is a city. That's a giant warforge. Right now.
Yeah. So that is the city of Metro in Sire.
It is. It says Metro. Yeah.
It does. I mean, like,
yeah.
That's the small version of that.
Yeah. No, that's like a Jaeger.
Oh yes.
That's the size.
There are stats for that in the back, and it is. When I first saw that concept art, I was like, the giant warforge. That's really stupid. And then I saw the stats, and I'm like, this is so cool. It was so wrong.
Right. That versus a Tarask, and like I said, if you're inspired by films, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your Pacific Rim. I've got a huge warforged mech, and I'm gonna.
The thing is, like,
Tarask or
that
Astral
in
Dragon.
of itself is an entire adventure. You've got you've got to find out where this thing is. You've got to find out how to bring it back online. Bring the
because
team
it's
together
from Kaya. It's in Kaya.
Yeah.
So you've got
this whole venture
Kaya.
into the Moorland, try and find one of the last Warforged Colossus that's still activated. Get it and go and punch the Tarask in the face.
It's just amazing. It's so. This is what
the planes.
The planes. Now the planes aren't like the.
It's not the Great Wheel.
Yeah, it's not the Great Wheel. You've not got planes of fire, planes of
No.
You haven't got Mount Celestia or anything like that.
No, there are sort of like analogues to some of the planes, but like I say, each plane is kind of its own sort of idea really. Like the Shavarath, the plane of war, is basically a never-ending three-way battle between demons, devils, and angels.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hayden would like that very much. That sounds like his jam.
That would be Hayden's.
But it's not like it's the Blood War dialed up to 11 because it is the concept of war. Like nothing ever stops fighting on there. You die, you come back to life, you keep on fighting, and that's kind of the very essence of the plane. Like when it's coterminous, people feel more violent. They more likely to get into fights, and it's that planar influence.
Now I know some of these planes.
Yeah.
I know Mabar is the evil
light,
shadow,
darkness, shadow.
Plane.
Yeah.
Delur is the plane of death.
Yes,
that's more like the transition of.
Yeah, so that's
death.
When you die, your soul goes to Delur, and then it kind of fades away, and then depending on what religion you worship, they say, it'll go somewhere else, or that's it.
It'll join the Silver Flame, or it'll whatever. Dao Quor.
Yeah, that's the plane of dreams.
The plane of dreams. Yeah, that's where the quarry who join with the Clashheart they are from.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. That's all.
Yeah. So let's have a look. What else we got? So Serania, the plane of air and peace. That's why Shan is so tall, because air and light and flying.
Yeah.
Kai 3 is like the churning elemental chaos, kind of like where where's it the Gith are from in standard.
Oh, which Gith?
Gith, the ones that are in the Chaos Limbo plane.
Gith
Limbo, is
Zerai.
it?
Yeah. So Limbo.
Yeah, they're also there. Rizia, the plane of ice. Zoriat, the plane of madness. That's where the
yes, I know that one as well.
The thing is from. Fernia, the plane of fire. Lamania, the Twilight Forest. That's kind of like the wild part of the Feywild.
Yeah.
And
or like the Beastlands.
Yeah, a bit like the Beastlands. And then we've got Thalanis, which is like the Fey side of the Feywild. So that's basically that's like the fairy tale plane. Like everything is a story there. That's a very interesting kind of thing. Devani is like the Eternal Order. Everything's like super lawful and regimented there. Bit like Mechanus, but not mechanical.
Yeah.
What have I missed out? Irian is the plane of light and radiance and that kind of thing. And Shamarath, the plane of war. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's.
And then there's also you've got the shadow and ethereal kind of.
Yeah, which essentially was the shadow fell in the ethereal plane.
Yeah.
So as this goes, and then it goes into each.
Yes,
manifest zones.
The effects of the manifest zones is something new in this edition. It was never really properly codified before, like what actually happened. There were a few like mentions like, oh, if Furnia's coterminous fires burn a bit hotter, and you might get fire elementals coming out of a volcano or something like that. But now we've actually got like things like spells that deal fire damage are empowered in the Fernian Manifest Zone, so they do like basically upcast by 1 level for free.
Yeah.
And like neat little things like that.
That's pretty damn cool.
And and these Manifest Zones are basically permanent features. So like if there is one and people know about them, they'll exploit it as a resource. Like it's a natural resource basically, like how Shards built on a Manifest Zone.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's very cool.
It talks in travel, so we've got here's a standard airship
picture.
Look at that.
Fire elemental
powered by
arena.
fire elemental.
Yeah.
Look at that. How can you not love it? And that is by Howard Leon. Just
airships.
I like how it's not just like it's just essentially a galleon in the air. It's not. It is.
So we don't need sails. We're propelled by a fire elemental.
Yeah.
We're basically a jet-powered airship.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
That's amazing. And then you've got that's
lightning rail maps.
That's a lightning rail.
Yeah.
Look at that.
All the different carriages. And also a neat little table on who you might encounter on the lightning rail. Some great plot hooks there for DMs. 4
Kalashtar monks meditate, burning incense and chanting quiet. Just, it could be nothing, it could be something.
Exactly.
Gold Dragon Inns.
This is basically the House Galander franchise. It's a bit like a Holiday Inn or whatever. You know exactly what you're going to get. You see a Gold Dragon Inn, you're like, I know exactly what the menu's going to be in there.
Yeah.
You go in, the rooms are all the same price, the food's all the same price. They've got the same uniform. Why would there not be a franchise? They did it before Acquisitions Incorporated made it cool.
Yeah, they are the house.
It's like hospitality.
Hospitality, yeah. What's this? This is a
map of Sharn.
Map of Sharn, yeah.
Skyway somewhere.
Oh wow. Crime in Sharn.
So this section is just so many amazing plot hooks.
Yeah.
And like things that DM can do, just sparks your imagination. Look at these tables, you're like, I'm going to
these.
put that in. That's amazing.
I mean, that's just a cog. That's just a little here's a little sample map of what could be in the cogs.
Yeah, you can have several sessions worth of adventure out of that.
Yeah, easily.
And then speaking of, I think at the end of this section there is actually a little mini adventure.
There is a little mini adventure. Now I'm not going to look at this mini adventure just because
this is it. Forgotten relics. Yeah.
I'm not going to look at this
you can go back and look at that amazing Wayne Reynolds 4-page spread. That is the
look at that
iconic. Sharn.
Look at this.
That's what here's some gnolls on saw sleds attacking this. Just the Warforged and flying and the lightning and just it's everything.
Well, look at this Warforged guy here. I'm guessing that's like a wizard, yeah. I mean, look at him. Not just a robot. Just so much.
Yeah.
So much good stuff here.
But I think we've just got the monster section to cover quickly. Oh no, we've got magic
treasures.
Yes,
treasures and magic items because the Dragonmarks houses have their
they make the magic items.
I'm not going to go into all of them, but one I do like is Armblade.
Yeah.
Mainly for Warforged.
There's one that I would like to specifically point out because this is the coolest magic item in 5th edition: the Arcane Propulsion Arm.
Yes.
Rocket punch.
It's a rocket
punch.
You can go. I'm going to put this on my arm and pow.
Except it's a prosthetic, so you need to have an arm off to do it.
I will do it. I'll take both my arms just to have 2 rocket hands. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking through, Everbright lanterns like we covered before. It's just,
and a lot of these that you do require an appropriate
feather token
to attune to. Yeah, essential if you're in Sharn.
If you're in Sharn, you fall off. You've got a feather token. You can cast Featherfall on yourself, essentially. What's this? Not a robot. Not a robot.
Not a robot.
Not a girl.
Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting new magic items. I'm not quite sure what the ventilating lungs are all about. That's a bit of a head scratcher for me.
What?
It's a magical pair of lungs that replace your lungs. I don't quite know,
That's... I take your lungs, the girls come in 2 weeks. there's like I say, we're not going to go into everything just because there's so much, so much here, and you need to buy the book essentially.
Yeah.
That's the, like I said. Hey, look at this. Look at that. Look at that piece of artwork there.
Fantastic.
Just on a lightning rail, and look, a fight, bang.
Yeah. Oh no, it is guys. The Emerald Claw. Better hit them.
Yeah. Emerald Claw. That's one of the big bads.
Yes, one of the bad factions. They are they're kind of like the Nazis. You can always attack the Emerald Claw.
Yeah. So now we are into the chapter 6, Friends and Foes, Bestiary. Okay, so again, we're not going to go through every single creature here, but Bella Shearer is
one of the Dalkir. Challenge 22. This is kind of a campaign ending. Oh my god.
Yeah. Now, Bella Shearer, in the podcast we're listening to, that is a recurring...
Spoilers?
Yeah, but it's like from quite early on.
Is it?
As well.
Oh.
What we got? Oh god.
With people talking to us.
Where do your old lungs go while the replacements...
Here's the thing, the wording.
Do you want to move your head?
The wording. Let's go back to the lungs quickly. The wording on the arcane on the lungs is ventilating.
I don't
lungs.
want to ask.
So where is it? They replace the lungs in your chest, which disappear. But wait, there's more. If your attunement to the lungs end, your original lungs reappear. It doesn't say where.
How does that happen? See, I would make it more that your additional your original lungs disappear. Meanwhile, a butcher shop around the corner is fully stocked.
Yeah, it's one of those things like so if a beholder looks at you, you suddenly just you can't breathe. Your magical lungs no longer function. It seems like a kind of a. I kind of question, I get that they need a magic item to...
That train monk had a prosthetic arm.
Yes.
Hang on. I didn't see that one. Oh, yeah. That's where I've seen this picture before. That was the picture that they put on Twitter.
Yes.
When it had about the rocket arm. That is...
Okay, the propulsion arm.
Yeah.
For when your flurry of bows doesn't go far enough.
Oh, dear. Right.
But yeah. Dalkir, fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
They will mess your shit up.
Yeah. I mean, just look at him. Look at that.
Yes. Basically, that guy. He made all the mind flayers.
He's responsible for mind flayers.
Yeah.
That's.
Do you know what you can do with the brain extraction? Has it got somewhere? Oh no, that's Belshazzar. Durin. Oh, next page.
Durin.
Somewhere I've seen strike brain. It's a melee weapon attack.
So if it's reducing your target to 0, kill the target and extracts and devours the
It's basically like the mind flayer's tentacle thing, except it just slaps a hand on your face and sucks your brain out.
Jesus.
So bam.
That's a challenge 24.
Yeah.
So it's not fucking around when it just gets into it.
Through the nose. Is that through the nose?
I don't know if it's through the nose.
It comes out somewhere. I don't want to know where.
I don't think anywhere is going to be a good place for it to come through, if I'm honest with you. But dinosaurs.
Yeah, we've got a couple of new dinosaurs.
We're on to dinosaurs now. We've got the clawfoot, which are essentially like raptors, from what I can gather. The fastieth.
Yeah, so they're like the clawfoot are the halfling mounts traditionally.
Yeah.
They'll ride around on basically the big raptors from Jurassic Park.
Clever girl.
Yeah, there's not actually many dinosaurs because I think most dinosaurs are already in one of the other books.
Pretty much covered. Yeah,
you've got everything. You've got T-Rexes.
Yes, and then the fastieth, which are human-sized, two-legged saurians.
Yeah, they're just attack dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yes.
A Dolgaunt.
Dolgaunt and Dolgren, they're basically hobgoblins and goblins that have been corrupted by the Dalkir.
That's terrifying.
So,
they look absolutely...
look at that. The Dalkir as a concept are just nightmarish because they're not even they're not doing it because they're evil. It's like they're doing it just because
they can.
That's what they do. It's like art to them.
Dusk hags, because you need more hags.
Homunculus, Expedition Messenger.
Inspired.
Yeah, so these are basically the evil kind of counterparts to the Clashheart.
Yeah.
They run Salona, essentially, with the quarry spirits possessing them.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's all very kind of sinister. Everyone's happy in Salona because you don't have a choice.
Yeah, because they're very much,
Fucking brainwashing everyone.
Yeah, we control you now.
Psychic ghost powers.
I've
got Carnathi
Undead. Lady Ilmarrow.
Basically, the
that's
big
another
bag,
22.
half
big bag
dragon lich. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of like campaign ending baddies in here. Like these are the big bads that you're going to be fighting.
Now this is another thing. Living spells.
That's a cool thing, like coming out of the Mournland.
Yeah, a large thing in the Mournland. So like we've got here, for example, the living burning hands, living lightning bolt, living cloud kill. Just the idea of it just terrifies.
The great thing is, it's not just those. Like any spell, if you really wanted to, you could just make it a living version.
Yeah.
And it would roll around just casting its spell effect willy nilly. Just make a living unseen servant that will do your laundry whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. Wow. That doesn't sound too bad. No. The Lord of Blades.
Yes.
Now this is
the big bad
big Warforged
kind of,
enemy. Challenge 18.
Yeah, he's very much Warforged, revolutionary, death to all the weak flesh, we are the superior race, etc., etc.
What we got? Living power word kill.
Ooh,
come on now.
I was thinking.
Come on now.
Living invisibility, right? Doesn't sound bad, but just imagine this: every time it hits you, you turn invisible. Suddenly, your friend's down. Where have they gone? You can't rescue their body. Shit. It's one of those things like, you get KO'd by that, your body's invisible. It engulfs you, you're gone, it rolls away with you, no one can find you.
Joe,
insidious.
Come on now, come on, Joe. Come on.
Living disintegrate.
Yeah.
Right. Mordekash.
Yeah, so one of the big bad...
Rakshasa dudes.
Kind of a second in command to the Overlords, which come later and are fucking terrifying. Oh, here they are.
Oh, look, the Overlords.
Yes. Is that the Lord of Blades?
Yeah, the Lord of Blades.
I mean, this happy chappy.
Oh, yeah.
Got a mini of him. Back from the old 3.5
That's
days.
That's the 3.5 Lord of Blades, look at him.
He lives up to his name.
Oh, his sword reminds me of one of the elven
the
weapons,
Valon double scimitar.
Yeah, the double scimitars.
That's a cool racial weapon. But yeah, Lord of Blades, he's like 20th level artificer and he will mess up your stuff. Got living cloud kill.
Alongside a living animate dead.
You see, like, there's just some spells you're looking at, that's nasty. That's too nasty.
And then you get something like living prestidigitation, and it just like makes things slightly warmer.
Yeah. But I think the kind of law behind him is like, whatever the intention of the spellcaster was when it came alive, it continues trying to do that. So if someone's casting a lightning bolt with the intent to kill, this living lightning bolt is just going to be roaming around trying to kill everything.
Jesus.
So yeah, the Overlords, the Demon Overlords.
Look at this guy.
The big fucking bads, basically.
Look at this guy. This guy is called
Raktul-Kesh.
Raktul-Kesh.
The Rage of War. As if he wasn't sinister enough.
It's only a small challenge rating of 28 on this one.
These are kind of equivalent to, like, step above Demon Princes would be. They're kind of like embodiments of like an idea, really. So like Raktul-Kesh is the Rage of War, and these are all sealed away in Eberron. They can't be killed because it's like killing the idea of the colour green. You can't do it. But this is like, if you're actually having to use the stat block, something has gone terribly wrong.
Sorkatesh, another 28 here.
Yeah. That is basically, the magic to ruin your fucking day.
Then you got a quarry.
They're onto the quarry. These nightmare monsters from the plane of dreams. So yeah.
Various challenge ratings here. Radiant Idol. Oh look at that quarry.
One of these little nightmare boys.
Radiant Idol, this is what you're saying about earlier.
Yeah, so basically if you're an angel and you fuck up in Sorority, they'll kick you out. And cool thing about these is they are cursed so that they can never fly by any means. So if one of these gets in an airship, the airship will immediately crash.
Awesome.
Like, if one of those went to Skyway would immediately plummet down. It's like, okay, that's a nasty curse. Nightmare time.
Different Rakshasa. Oh, just one different Rakshasa.
Oh no, we got more terrible
living Druid flowers.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's.
I like that one.
That was quite nice. That
just a little patch of flowers coming at you.
Now, the Undying. Yeah. This is if I'm remembering rightly, the leaders of the High Elves, the Arane, the Undying Council. So is there something to do with them?
Yeah. So the Undying Council are kind of
Undying Council.
So they're basically elves have got a thing about death in Eberron. They really want to avoid it in any form, kind of.
Yeah.
So the Aranol elves basically preserve their greatest as these kind of like positive energy powered undead rather than like being powered by evil necrotic stuff.
I mean, as it says here, it's like it's a medium undead. It's neutral good. You know, which again you wouldn't see in like Faerun. It'd be just like, he's a undead.
I think they've got some like good liches in some obscure setting.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere in Faerun, like Belmorn or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, this is like a big part of their culture, basically.
Yeah.
It's they're all by this.
Yeah, because that was the main difference as well between the Ternadal and the Arane. The Arane were all about, you know, they're undead.
They're all like
that, whereas the
physically
were just like the spirits of their ancestors were
kind of honouring their deeds and kind of keeping their immortal spirits alive through that, rather than literally their immortal spirits.
Yeah.
What have we got now?
Living magnificent magic. Go through a door and surprise. Leave in the morning and where the fuck are we? Very good. Very good.
Nice. So yeah, this is another cool thing. The Valon animals used to be just like the war horses were their big thing, but now they're, you know, you've got dogs and birds in the mix, and these are kind of like the Ternal.
We have a hawk.
Yeah,
it's a Valon hawk right there.
Hawk.
Yeah.
So this is like a hawk, like with the distilled kind of essence of like all the best hawks there ever were, like the Ternal have ever had. Yeah. The Valinar Huntinghawks.
Steed. Oh, here we are.
And here we get to the Warforged Colossus. So on the other page we've got the Warforged Titan, which that's what I've got. So that's basically the tank version. Nice. So that's like
look at him. He's got an axe for an arm and a hammer for the other one.
Yeah.
He's not made to, you know, bake bread.
No. That's not who you would find living next to you after the war. They're like, Warforged Titans are stupid, and they were basically the first proto-Warforged, and they were good at smashing and not much else.
Yeah. Like Iron Man's first suit.
Yeah. But stupider.
Yeah. But this Warforged Colossus
that
is essentially a Jaeger. But it's a
challenge 25.
Yeah.
So the kind of lore behind these is they were like made in the very last days of the war, and never actually saw any use because they would have just wrecked everything, and then the morning happened and they all got lost.
Read out multi-attack.
Read out what it's like. Everything.
It makes 3 attacks: 1 with its slam, 2 with its eldritch turrets, and then uses stomp. So its slam, you're looking at, if it hit, it's got a plus 18 to hit. But if it hits, it's 3d12 plus 10. And can push the target up to 20 feet away. And its range is 20 feet as well.
Yeah.
The 4d8 force damage from the Eldritch turrets. And then the stomp.
It flattens
stomps one of its feet within 20 feet. Any creature within 20 feet of that. DC 26 dexterity saving throw or 6d10 bludgeoning and fall prone.
I mean, this thing...
You're not going to win against us.
That's what we're DC 26.
DC 26.
Well, that's the thing. We saw the picture of it earlier. This thing was like as big as a skyscraper, essentially. If it stomps on you, you fucking die.
Yeah.
And then also it's got a death laser.
Wait. You fall prone until the Colossus uses its stomp again or moves. The creature is restrained. So you are underneath it.
Oh yeah, it steps.
You're underneath it.
Yeah, you get stomped. What's
Jesus? Living, true piling, walking along, minding your own business, and then you're a chicken.
Forever.
And then it's like, it's alright, because if you are underneath it, you can make a DC 26 strength check to get out.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Well, you missed the best bit, though.
What's that? Oh, incinerating beam, a recharge of 5 and 6.
It's got a death ray!
DC 26 saving throw, or 11d10 radiant damage.
Yeah. This thing is, if anyone...
And it's a 150 foot line, 10 feet wide.
Yeah. If you've ever played Fallout 3, it's Liberty Prime.
Jesus.
Just
a creature reduced to 0 hit points by this beam is disintegrated.
Yeah, it's a death ray. See, that's why I was like, it's just a giant warforged, and I'm like, oh no. So it's awesome.
All your hit points in one go.
Yeah, I just poof gone. It's alright, resistant training.
And reaching the end, it's got generic NPCs.
Yeah, so
like the Bone Knight.
Generic NPCs.
Yeah, so a Bone Knight, a generic Changeling, a generic Clashheart.
Hold on, we'll go back and read the caption on that picture because that is...
What, Clashheart? Clashheart or Changeling disguised as Clashheart.
That's a genius bit of editing.
That's amazing.
Why pay for 2 pieces of art when you can use 1?
That's amazing. And that art is by Effie and Mercia.
Yeah.
A Mage Rite. Now, Mage Rites are...
This is just like the day-to-day magical
Yeah, day-to-day.
workers.
So they may only know one spell,
yeah,
but they usually cast it as like a ritual or something like that.
Yeah, so you've got examples here. So like a lamplighter can cast light and continual flame as a ritual. You've got a locksmith can cast mending and arcane lock and knock as a ritual. It's just like, you know, they're regular mundane locksmiths. You can use like thieves' tools, and also he's got magic to do the job as well.
Yeah.
Why not? Anyone can learn magic.
Shifters.
Yeah.
And a Tarkanan assassin and Warforged soldier, because everyone's going to need Warforged soldier.
I sorely need Warforged soldiers.
That is
a very brief look.
It is a very brief look as well.
But
even though we've been talking for God knows how long.
That is a very quick.
2 hours and 10 minutes we've been.
Yeah.
Sorry for bending your ear for that long, but we've barely gone into any depth in that.
There's so much in it. Like I said, this is such a dense book full of like ideas.
If you look at like the Ravnica one or the Soul Coast Adventurer's Guide, they're very thin compared to this. I mean, look at that. It is
slightly bigger than
bigger than the Player's
Handbook. The page count? The old PHB goes up to
page count
314. 16. I think with the extra character sheets in the back, it's about the same, but 316 pages.
Yeah, we're on 320 with Eberron.
Big stuff.
That's amazing.
And I'm so excited.
Can't. I shouldn't say, but I can't wait for my campaign to be over so we can start yours. I might just say,
rocks fall.
Yeah,
die.
You've done it. World's free.
We're out of the abyss. We won.
Yay!
Or have we? Tune in to find out.
But yeah, thank you for coming and listening to us ramble about this.
Thank you for letting me just gush about how fantastic this is, and hopefully it's been somewhat infectious. Like I say, it's my favourite campaign setting of all time. I just get very excited about it, and this book has made me very happy. It's Christmas come early for me. So thanks for tuning in. But we'll maybe do similar things in the future. Otherwise, we've got our
other products, books. While we've got your attention, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Please.
You can follow us on the Twitters and everything that we've got at the bottom of the screen, which I believe is over here now because I'm normally in the middle. And we've got this little beholder, little guy here.
That's alright.
Look at him.
Oh no! It's come out the Mournland! What monstrosity is this?
This was painted by our very own Graham Pell of Kobold Star Miniatures, and will be given away when we reach 100 followers to anyone living in the UK, unfortunately, because rules.
Those tricky
rules.
But
please follow us. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can use your free one to give us a little subscription as well. That'd be really nice.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a short break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to be playing some Dungeon Mayhem.
Dungeon.
Okay. See you in a bit.